So the way that I like to approach my wash coffees is a little bit different, because there I really get to showcase the potential of a dripper that has a smooth wall like the Orea and the B3 flat paper. Now, the first step for me is to make sure that the dripper that you're using does have that smooth outer wall, so we reduce the bypass. And then normally around a 45mm base. In this case on the Orea, I'm also using a booster, which you can see our other video that's explaining everything to do with that. We take our paper, super easy to fold. It's got lines already imprinted on it, and we simply have to fold and fold on each of these lines to get the shape that we want. Then insert into the dripper. If you have a negotiator, you could use that. Otherwise, just use your hands. And we want to rinse this paper, not for the taste, but just for being able to squish the paper filter against the sidewall. So the way that we're going to approach our wash coffees now, like I mentioned, is quite a high extraction. So we have here now, after we've folded and pressed in our B3 flat paper filter, this is the medium size in a standard Orea, it sticks out just a little bit above. We're going to go 16 grams of quite a fine grind. Think somewhere like 20 clicks on a Comandante, something like this. Our water here is set to 96 degrees at the moment, so a little bit hotter. And we're going to pour with a lot more agitation. So firstly here, I'm going to do about 40 grams along with a swirl. And we'll put our kettle back on the base after this first pour here to keep that temperature nice and hot. Because we actually want to extract a lot more out of this one, and we want to push for maybe 21, 22% extraction, we've got no bypass on the sidewalls. And thanks to the booster underneath, we've also got a really increased flow through the bed of this paper filter. Otherwise, we just have low flow on the sides, and at the bottom, where we have some contact points with the dripper or with the booster, we can have an increased flow and a higher flow through the bed to increase the evenness of our extraction. Now, we're also going to use a special type of pouring where we're going to pour from a little bit higher and going to increase the agitation in this style of brewing by pouring from up high and getting that laminar flow as high as we can. You notice this by what you can see underneath the surface is a little bit of bubbles coming up, but right before we actually have splashing. This level will take a little bit of time to adjust and to find, especially depending on your kettle and the water stream that you have. The faster the water stream, the higher you have to go. The slower you're pouring, the lower you have to go to the surface to find that point where we have laminar flow all the way to the level of the water, which is going to give us maximum agitation underneath. Now we're going to wait about a minute between each of these pours, from the bloom to the first pour and the second pour. So here at 2 minutes, we're going to do our last pour up to about 270 mils. So 16 to 270, this should be around a 1 to 17, 1 to 18 ratio, depending on your coffee, which is quite a different style of brewing to normal. So after this last pour, it's going to take quite a while to draw down, so it's okay to give a little bit of a swirl at that last stage, and we're looking for a drawdown time of around 4 or 5 minutes. Normally, if you didn't have the booster, this would be a bit of a problem, but because we have the booster underneath, we've got a very even drawdown, and we can find that the B3, especially in the flat paper, is going to help us get a really nice extraction here. You could also do this style with a fast paper, but you'll find that actually the times are quite similar. And here we have more of an effect of the paper if you do a B3 flat versus a flat fast. It's going to be not a huge difference in drawdown, but you're going to find a slightly cleaner and sweeter cup with the B3 and something a little bit more body and a little bit more vibrant with the fast. So now that drawdown is finished, we can remove our dripper And this is that sort of 1 to 17. You can even push it up to a 1 to 18 ratio depending on the coffee. Here you end up having that really high extraction, but still, even though there's a larger ratio, we're still going to have quite a strong coffee here, like a 1.4 TDS. Super clean, elegant, smooth, really nice sort of style of coffee that this recipe gives you.